Alright guys, so what we're going to do today is make a box. And so the first thing you want to do is wedge this at least 50 times. Generally when you're done wedging, it'll look like your ram's head, remember? Like this. So what we want to do is actually wedge it less and less and kind of get that sausage shape until we don't have the nose anymore. And then you'll have it more like this, and then you can just pound the ends a little bit. And then what we want to do is make this as flat as possible. So I'm going to just kind of throw it on the table, and as I throw it, I'm kind of bringing my hands back. So, and as I bring my hands back, the clay is going to lengthen and extend and broaden. This is so dry that I don't actually need canvas, but if yours is wet, I would use canvas, otherwise it's going to stick to the table. So you just keep going till it's about a 1/2 inch thick. One thing you don't want to do is just flap it straight down, because it's going to cause suction and that's going to stick it to the table really badly. So that's about a 1/2 inch thick, and the way I could tell is I can take this, it's called a needle tool, poke it in, take my finger, push it down to the clay where I can feel it, put my finger on the needle tool and pick it up. And then I can measure this. And actually about 1 inch would be fine too, so we can see right here that it's almost like 7/8 inches thick. And so what I'm going to do is, that should be fine, it's less than 1 inch. I'm going to take it, put it on my canvas. If I don't use canvas, it might stick to the table, just like, even though this is a lot drier than maybe your clay will be. I'm going to use these paint sticks. We also use these for glaze, but if you lay the paint sticks down, they're 1/4 inch thick, and so they're going to determine how thick this is when I roll it with my rolling pin. So I'm going to lay these down and give myself a little bit of room. What I don't want to do here is I don't want to like roll on top of clay, because that's just not going to make it the right thickness. It'll like get stuck to these, and so give yourself a little bit of space. And then take your rolling pin and you're just going to apply pressure and push out. If your piece is still a little thick and you feel like you're putting a lot of like force into that, what you can do is just shake your piece and it'll extend out a little more. My piece is super dry, so it's gonna take a lot more effort to make it longer. You can also keep throwing it down and extending it. But I feel like this is pretty good, so I'm just gonna keep going with it. And it might be helpful to get as far above this piece as possible to push down and push through the clay. If you're sitting down to do this, you're not going to have as good of a body position to get the force of this to get this thin enough. You want to use about 3 pounds of clay for this to make a 3-inch box. If you wanted to make a bigger box, you'd have to kind of add more and more clay. And you don't have to do everything in one slab. You could make smaller slabs and make the box out of smaller slabs. Alright, so it feels like it's pretty even, but the way I'm going to test is the same way I did before. I'm going to push in, I'm going to put my finger to the bottom, to the clay, and then take it out. It's going to go here, and as long as it's like close to 1/4 inch. But if it's like a 1/2 inch or more, then you probably need to keep lengthening it out. So at this point, I can't really like roll this way, right? Because the clay is too wide. So I could either cut it and then do it that way, or what I'm gonna do is just keep wiggling it.